How we doing, guys? Everyone
Doing real
alive?
good, dude.
Doing good. I'm ready.
Everyone good? You guys good? All right. Well, welcome back. Thanks everyone for being here. Choice, Anfield. Cheers, guys. Today we are going to be having special guests Blue and Stratified on with us. Guys, how's it going? Thanks for being here.
Hey.
Hey, how's it going? Thank you for inviting us.
Stratified, YouTube creator, streamer on Twitch as well. Tell us about yourself, man.
Yeah, dude, I'm just a really bad ninja who makes scuffed videos now, so that's all I do.
I like it. I like it. If you guys want to find out more details on anybody as well as the guests that we're having here today, you'll be able to check them out in the links down below. Strat will be down there. Blue, how's it going, man? Introduce yourself for us, please.
Hey, it's going pretty good. My name.
He said my name, and that's it.
Hey, how's it going? Sorry. I guess my name is Blue. I play a bunch of different regions. Korea, North America, and South America are the main regions. I play a variety of classes from Lawn, Archer, and Ranger for most. And yeah.
That's nice. Well, thanks for being here. So last week we were talking about Ultra Blood speculations, current event ideas as well, talking about the enhanced drop rate that happened. One of the more major topics that we did cover last week was going over the merc system for guilds, and if you guys want to take a look at that as well, the link for the previous episode will be also included in the description down below, just past these awesome people who you should also consider giving a follow. Before we talk about this week's beef, my question for you guys is, have any of you guys grinded the Altar of Blood now that I believe the event's now at an end? And have you guys gone back into Altar of Blood at all, if any of you guys did any of that last week?
Nah, I haven't.
Nope.
Yeah, I haven't touched Altar of Blood since the event. And not worth it, I don't think.
So, with the drop rate being changed back to normal, why do you think Altar of Blood isn't worth grinding at all now?
Well, I think mostly because it's just not that consistent of money. And a lot of times it just comes down to consistency. That's why people pick Histria. And they like grinding Histria over Star's End. It's because of consistency. And like, you could coin flip and get really lucky with a nice 500 mil drop, or you're going to get nothing and you just wasted your time.
So why did you like the Altar of Blood? Did you grind like at all actively with Altar of Blood?
Yeah, I did like 15 runs of it.
So what's the difference in comparison? Why were you doing it before? What was the feeling?
I don't know. It was just, well, it was easier. My gear's not very good, so like if I was doing it without the decreased difficulty, I was probably just gonna be a lot harder. And I was just getting really lucky. I'm not gonna lie, man.
I was gonna say, were you getting good drops?
First,
did you find the silver being really competitive?
The first run I did, I got 2 tri green boxes, and then I had that was just, and then it just was kind of consistent.
I think you made a video on that. I seen the video of you doing that.
That was like the only time it was crazy, but it was pretty good.
Still really good. So we have some big events going on. We got some big events going on. One of the more major topics we're going to talk about this week and today is current events going on, because we've got quite the feat of things on our way right now. So this week we were given not 1 but 2 pieces. I can't even say soft cap, because from my understanding all of the gear is TET, but all of the weapons are tri.
I haven't opened it, so I actually don't know.
Yeah, I haven't opened mine either.
It's like try accessories, and then like it's like try nar, or like 11 AP earrings, and then like try crescents, and then like try weapons too.
Oh, it was try narcs. Okay, interesting.
So
the funny thing is I haven't even opened mine. None of us have. That's so
It's
funny.
pretty odd that they would come out with that box. Like the original support box that came out was full soft cap gear, so it puts you at about 253 AP and around 294 DP or whatever it was at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And as time progresses, you would almost expect the box to get stronger, but they weakened it and actually pretty much made it useless, which is pretty odd.
Well, you say useless though, but like I've talked about this before. Don't you think that like when you're making a new character, some of the spots that you go to are, leveling up with mobs that are around the same level, and eventually like you're gonna go to, I don't know, either Fatus or Fogans or Marnie Stones or Gahaz or whatever. And then yeah, I guess eventually you're gonna get into, History Augment. That's where people really want to test that out too. So, it's one of those things where it's like I can understand how it may give a player like a trial experience on another class with gear, but this at the same time it's like that's what a trial character is for. So I don't know. If to me it came across as like trial gear and not really giving a chance or people a chance to explore like more end game, if you will, and like being able to see the entry level of like History Augment.
I think that for the people who actually really needed that box, it just kept them in the same spots. Then yeah, like you said,
That's a good
can't
point.
go to History Ackman. And like, I mean, I just put it on an alt, and I was just like, whatever. But
Polly's Forest, here we come.
Poly's is packed, and the people who needed that box, they get nothing out of it. So they're just at the same spots anyway. So
I wonder if I put all that gear on a shy character, I could just go crazy in Sakurai.
It feels like they possibly did it because they also combined it, with the EXP buff event, and it feels like maybe they did it more so to help level either new players that are coming in that definitely don't have that type of gear because they're new, or players that are also just wanting to try other classes to level those classes up that may not have that type of gear or already do on those weapons. Because it's like when you open up the box, right? You can choose to open up the weapons on a certain character versus opening up the armor or whatever on any other character, right? And then I think this coming out as almost as a way to kind of implore others to still try this game out, even if they maybe had a trial character or whatever, they can still try it out. And then I know at TwitchCon they really did push at least game, invited a lot of people out that didn't even play BDO to try and increase the exposure that BDO has, and they gave everybody a free game copy code.
And it's also on sale now on Steam for half the price.
Yeah, so it's like I feel like it may not be good for like a lot of our veterans or just regular players that already have that similar gear that are already grinding these regular spots.
Mm-hmm.
It's like whatever, but a lot of the newer players that are just trying out or just playing, it's going to take them at some time to figure out how to get that kind of gear. So at least it helps them out with between that and the combination of the season, the hunt, EXP buffs to really just go and be able to grind these. Well, for us lower tier, but for them higher end spots like Fogans and Nagas and stuff to be able to grind them in a consistent manner with the Marnie Stones with this gearbox.
So the Fever Time boost event that we have up to 200% EXP, 30% EXP skill boost on weekends. So we went up to 300% on weekends. Sorry. We have special challenges. We're getting loot scrolls on top of XP scrolls. We have the world boss drop rate boost, 2 times the drop rate. I did go to Vels. I did go to Garmot. Do you guys get anything lucky?
hell no.
Nope.
I got Belongia's Adventure, but there was nothing real epic in there, just a crescent ring.
Damn, RNG carried crescent ring. We have the special pouch drop event coming up as well. This is something that I think a lot of people are going to be keen for. What are your guys' thoughts on what do you think is going to be in the bag? Do we know exactly what's going to be in the bag for a full item list? Have you guys? I believe this is going to be similar to one that we've had before.
Yeah, I think it's the same, right? Exact same thing. So it should be the usual with Blackstones and Hards and Sharps and Ancient Spirit Powder, which is the big one. And then
Yeah.
I think they can drop like belongings, or not belongings, golden backpacks and stuff like that.
Okay,
One of them does. So I think it's the exact same thing as last time. So we'll
Lots of
see.
Caphras.
Like hopefully, it's a really good grinding event, or I think also life skill event. It's just the worry with things like this is like last time NA had a huge problem with like botting and stuff. Like fish bots got tons of them, and Some people got some very dubious amounts of Caphras gear from it, but it is nice for the average player as well. Like, you get really rewarded. The only thing I don't like about these events is it rewards you more for killing really weak mobs faster than it does for killing any harder mob. Like, kind of ruins the ability, well, the financial gain of grinding Histria or Akman or Star's End Sakraya, because you might as well be killing like mobs you one hit, which then floods higher gear players down to lower gear spots because they have no choice. If they want to take advantage from the event, they have to kill like really weak mobs. Like, for example, I'm going to be at Polly's because I want to farm my Crocodile gear still, and I need to get the sea fragments, the water fragments, and also I'll be grinding it because of the pouch event. Like, there's no point in me going to Sakraya or Star's End, you know, because I'll get a way lower rate of those. So
Yeah, I might go to I might take the opportunity to go to Feather Wolves because I need to get wind shards.
I don't necessarily mind these types of events with the fortune pouch stuff. Like, it adds some needed things onto the market. You know, it's a nice bonus for new players that are out there grinding those lower end spots and, you know, getting more money than the end game players that are already making so much more than them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the amount of people that actually go to those lower spots probably won't change all that drastically. Like, if I can make 135 mil an hour without a loot scroll in Histria or Sakraya, I'm not going to be, you know, switching to polys to take advantage of fortune pouch because, you know, you're really only getting maybe 60 to 70 mil at best there an hour. And so the extra drops from those fortune pouch isn't going to bridge that gap. But definitely for certain players that are entry level into Histria, it's probably going to bring them back to those spots. Unless you're like just purely trying to take advantage of the event and you just want to break, then that's probably the real reason you would switch to a different lower end spot.
Where do you guys think you would grind for the pouch event at where you guys are currently at? I'd like, for me, I'm going Ackman.
I think I do polys just because I can just run through everyone there as a ninja and then kill things in one hit. Be really, really, really fast.
Yeah?
Do it on Arsha because I like to PvP. It'd be fun.
A lot of people
Yeah,
plan
I'm
on
probably
going
just
polys
gonna-
on Mansions.
Yeah, I think mansions might be a pretty decent spot too. I probably will just stick with my normal grind spots and just kind of treat it as just a bonus every time I get one. I don't know. It would be cool to, you know, go to polys and all that, but I think the amount of people that come out of the woodworks to grind those specific locations in these events, in a sense, makes it inefficient as well. Because when you have that much contention for a grind spot, then all of a sudden, you know, the 60 mil you were making now drops down to 45 because you're having to contest your spot so often.
I'm considering maybe going to Nagas or Mancham just because I have the, you know, the super Marnie stones that you kill for
Oh,
the
yeah,
accessory
yeah,
boxes.
yeah.
I have a bunch of those for a few different spots. I'm like maybe just spending the time using like a second character or something that I can just level up to 57, 58 really quick, swapping the gear so I can still one-shot the mobs and just, you know, using that time to kind of level up my characters while just farming for the rarity pouches and whatnot. Kind of just killing like 3 birds in 1 stone.
I can only imagine how OP polys is going to be with with Marnie stones as well. And speaking of Marnie stones, we had the Marnie Stone 2 for a special tongue red box. If you guys completed that, if you guys don't know, for those of you listening, if you complete the Marnie Stone 2 to 250 mobs or 500 mobs, if you do 40 of the 250s or 20 of the 500s, you can get yourself points for a free tongue red box. I think the tongue red box is going to be either, I think it's given to us at the end of the event. I'm not sure if it's given to us next week. But I've done mine. I did 22 of the 500 just in case, but I did 11,000 of the Ackman mobs. Have you guys done yours? Where'd you go?
I'm working through my history.
I was too lazy. I didn't do it.
Bro, you could still do it. Like, where are you grinding?
When is that event on until? How much more?
And
I
grinding
don't
Roar
know
on
how
my
much more
Pegasus.
time you have, but I just did it this week, so I'm under the impression that it's all event long. Could be wrong though. Don't take my word for it.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna go out and do that. I've been kind of putting some stuff off recently. I've been just like, I don't know, very broke lately because I've been buying Caphras as they've been going down to around 2.25, 2.3, and so
Such a nice
I don't know.
change of pace too. It's a lot of silver I was able to save with leveling up some of my stuff. How are you liking the Kaffir price changes with Manos being released? You think it's gonna go down more?
I personally do not think that they'll go much lower in NA than 2.25, maybe 2.2. We'll have to see with the Fortune Pouch event. There is always a possibility, like, Anfield was talking about. NA has got some pretty devious people that may fish bot, and if they do, they can easily offload, 40,000 Kaffir stones onto the market before
Mm-hmm.
they get banned. And if something like that happens, then I can see it going down further. But overall, I think that it's going to be pretty temporary if it drops below 2.2, and you're not going to be able to buy very many of them. I know that EU has way different prices, though. Like, you guys are already down to 1.9. We're
Wow.
still at 2.5 at
There's
the
people in
moment.
NA that just wouldn't let that price happen.
Yeah, like as soon as it starts going to 2.3, there's like already a couple thousand buy orders. And then
Yeah.
2.2, there's like 4,000 buy orders. Like people, it can't go down further.
Yeah.
And most of the life skilling people are trying to save their Caphras anyway. So, they're not really, that's not a new market of, that's not a new source of Caphras because the life skillers that switch from grinding to that are keeping them for the most part.
So we also have the new Ancient Ruins grinding spot that is soon to be released. It's a grinding spot geared for high-level players that will be added on October 8th. Here, adventurers can combat ancient weapons constructs that drop Elcar, a material. A material that is needed to produce Elcar's crystal. It's a new type of crystal that has accuracy plus 12, ignore all resistance plus 10%, and can be equipped on main weapons. Players will need a Black Spirit Claw to enter the ruins as well. Have you guys seen anything in regards to this, or even tested it on the test server if it is there? I have yet to see. Wait, actually no. I think maybe I've seen someone playing it in Korea now that I'm thinking about it. What about you guys?
Yeah, I tried to actually go test it on the test server, but unfortunately, I guess you have to use the Black Spirit Claw pieces to open it up,
Yeah.
open up the door to get there, and you can only get the actual Black Spirit Claw currently in the test lab vendor. So, it's like I haven't been able to test it because I've been away for the weekend, but I really want to go and sit down and grind and hopefully get a claw piece and go try and test it out.
So to be confirmed. And then I hear that they drop black shards. Is that and I heard latent necklace, something with unless it's going to be an event related to latent necklaces, but
There's these
Yeah,
elite guards that spawn that you can kill them in different stages, and I guess the end one can drop the necklace. It was guaranteed, and now they nerfed it.
oh, that sounds like it needs to be nerfed. Already hearing it.
I'm looking forward to there being sort of like an end game spot, which is what I'm hoping it is in Medea, because that castle for the longest time has just been really undesirable. So
Yeah.
it's
And you
good
get
that
a
there's an
drop loot
actual
too
spot
for
that,
having Medai, right?
for sure, you do, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that they're adding in that spot as sort of like whoopsie daisy. We added Dragon, and there's no good spots to grind for end game players. So now they're just like trying to patch up Medea.
I just think they're obsessed with ancient weapons.
Agreed.
There's many ways to reskin Histria. Many
Histria,
ways.
see Histria, discount Histria.
So Manos. We were talking about Manos a few weeks ago. We're gonna most likely get more into that as time goes by and revisit this. But Manos is fully released. Have you guys been doing your Manos? Have you guys been enhancing Manos? Are you guys aware that Manos clothes drop in some grind spots now? And your thoughts on those?
Has anyone gotten a drop from a ground spot of Manos Close? Does
I've yet
anybody
to
know anything like that?
I have yet to do the map grind or anything, but hearing that it can potentially be dropped in sulfur makes the map grind sound more appealing. If Piliku had something else with it, then I'm sure more people would be ambitious to do it.
Yeah,
Hey,
like I heard about them dropping in those spots, but I haven't really seen anybody get one. At least I haven't known of anybody. And so if they are available to be dropped in those spots, it's got to be pretty ridiculously rare.
Yeah, I spent 50 hours in Korea at Road Sulfur with 50 with loot scrolls and a level 10 node, and still not. It's kind of AIDS.
I think Manos is actually pretty interesting for like a lot of people who do life skilling, part time, I guess. Like they still grind and stuff, because the Manos tools are really good and they're really efficient. But I think that's like the only thing that's actually worth spending any money or time into, considering the fact that getting plus 15 clothes is like it's so expensive
And we
for
also have
Manos. It's
the
crazy.
riding crop, which
Yeah, the
is
riding crop's nuts, man. Holy
super easy
crap.
to make too, and like actually a very visible difference. Like you're auto pathing at sprint speed.
That's busted. It's busted. It's awesome.
Can I ask you guys really quick, if for those of you guys who actually enhance Manos, I know there was an issue. There was something in Korea to at the start, the accessories had a chance to break, but I was told by my guildmates that they said that they were going to patch it to where the accessories wouldn't break, but I've never seen a patch that actually mentioned that in the patch notes. So in NA, if you guys enhanced the accessories, haven't you guys tried, and haven't you guys had an accessory that would break by chance?
They just boom.
Yeah,
Okay,
I was
okay.
watching some streams on that, and yeah, from my understanding, they don't use any stacks. It's just set in stone odds, and looks like it costs a lot to make.
Very, except the accessories are
It's like
so
100
painful.
mil per
Yeah.
base level.
Yeah, it's
Like
bad.
that's insane.
It's watching people enhance that. You just watching them just like big pile of cash and you just gas it up and torch it. It's
Have
all
you gotten
gone.
into masteries much yourself, Stratified?
Oh yeah, dude. I like skill a decent amount. It's like
So
50% of my money.
so what kind of life skilling have you been enduring, or sorry, have you been putting, or, wow, words. What kind of life skilling have you been applying yourself more to?
Just gathering. Gathering's really good,
Are you
especially like
noticing like
getting.
way better results in comparison based
I mean,
on
yeah. I mean, just in general, like yield is up a lot, and you can see that just from the prices. But like things like getting certain brackets, like 900 mastery bracket for Caffers, is like a really nice sweet spot. You can gather, like I think Choice was talking about this earlier, where people gather their own Caffers to use. Like that's what I'm doing. When I feel like gathering that much, I'm gonna do that and just use my get Caffers that way. Um, but yeah, I think the only way for me, I like PvP. That's like all I've been doing recently, and I grind still for like a lot of my money too. So anything besides Manos tools seems like a big waste of money because it's just so punishing to enhance.
but over time it could add up, man. Have
You
you been
gotta put
doing much Manos and life skilling? Sorry, go ahead there,
No,
I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, you're good. You just gotta put so much time into it. Like you have to spend. I did like some just quick math, quick mental math, and you just have to spend so much time of life skilling and actually like min maxing your stuff in order to make it like actually completely worth it to go for soft cap manos. It's like, I don't know, it's just crazy.
I see. What about you, Blue?
Um, I actually, I didn't really do too much up in Korea. They did have a lot of events you could actually get a lot of the Mano stuff enhanced and whatnot. But I'll be honest, I never really cared much for life skilling. So for me, even though it was definitely like a really good income, I couldn't really be asked to sit down and enhance another set of gear just for life skilling. So I'll be honest, I haven't really done much.
Oh, that's fair. And Choice yourself, you been up to much with life skilling and Manos?
Yeah, I'm pretty hardcore with it. Like, I got full duo green logia, and I put that on my fisherman. And every single night I'm out there fishing, so I'm working pretty hard, man.
Dude, you're owning. This guy's a life skilling god over
Dude,
here. Watch out.
tell me, like, are you being a smartass, or is that actually like the setup you have right now?
No, that's the setup I got, dude. I can show
Okay.
you some screenshots.
No,
Okay,
I believe you.
I
It
catch
was
master
good.
prize fish. I catch prize fish like every night. I'm pretty hardcore. I'm kind of like an idol in the community, so I don't know.
Well, I was gonna say, like, is it a night and day difference? Is this something that you can strongly recommend? Hey, if you're gonna do AFK and you're doing, this kind of AFK activity, you should be getting into this.
Well, I think that most players that like have any interest in life skilling, even if you're AFK fishing,
Mm-hmm.
it's probably best to get full Tetlogia. It doesn't really take that much time, and you probably should do that. It's cheap enough, and it's going to eventually pay itself off.
Full
I'm just like,
Tetlogia, they're
really,
100 mil
yeah.
each rings.
No, you don't buy them. You just like make them yourself.
Oh, no, wait, I'm
Jeffy
thinking of Manos,
did a
though.
stream.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, not Manos. I'm talking Logia. Like, you just go and get full Tetlogia, and you will probably spend a day, if like maybe 10, 12 hours gathering, and statistically you should get like a good amount of your Tets already. And from there, you just reap the rewards over the course of several years of playing the game. So definitely worth it. Definitely something I'm going to eventually do, even though all I really do is fish. In the off chance that I go and do any life skilling, like anytime I do any processing, anything like that, 100% worth it getting the cheap stuff at least a Tet. Wouldn't necessarily recommend buying it off the market though, because you're going to be able to enhance those things yourself while also gathering and making money at the same time. So why would you spend money for something that's actually net making you money?
Yeah, I would advise everyone to get at least Tetlogia. Like, even if you like.
Is that
Like
new
Troy said,
horse
even if
gear
you're-
profitable? We have the new horse gear that also came out. The Earth set, the Wind set, the Water set as well. One has, and all have different set bonuses for, what is it? I believe 2-piece, 3-piece, and 5. I could stand corrected here, but it's too, like, is that profitable to make at all? Like, I have 12 cichrids, or whatever they're called, songs, the pearls from Sakraya now, and I don't, like, I see the amount of shards needed, Garmoth scales needed. I don't even know. I can't recall if these are even like worthwhile to make. Can these also be sold? I gotta find this out here.
They can fake, yes.
I haven't looked. Okay,
I don't
They
think it's
haven't
going to
risen
be
in price
profitable.
enough.
Yeah, they haven't increased in price. So, like, I bet you in the future it'll probably be marginally beneficial, but probably not something people are going to actively farm as their income.
here it is.
But that being said, like, I don't think enough of them are going to go up on the market for a long time before they can start reaching their peak price, which is probably what they're worth, is whatever their peak price is.
And then just recently, I've noticed that they also have new stones that have been added, sharp stones. I'm looking at the Wind Manos processing stone here. I haven't looked into the requirements to craft these either.
That's another thing I think is pretty good, is those stones. If you trade a lot, like, those are similar to the weapons, or like the tools, I should say, because you use like sharps and fail stacks for them. Those are pretty nice if you trade. I think those are worth it too.
So, do you guys think that life skilling is going to provide a more dominant way of making currency in the game? And the crowd goes silent.
Yeah,
You
I got
guys
it.
are
I
a
got
very
this.
talkative
I
bunch
got this.
today.
I got it, Fake. Don't worry, dude. Check it. So I think personally, that for a lot of people who are kind of mid-tier gear, like 269 Nuver plus, grinding Histria, if you don't have a loot scroll, I think gathering is way better. It's just more consistent, and like, if you're grinding Histria without a loot scroll, I play Ninja, so I don't like have the craziest trash power. So as soon as I'm out of loot scrolls, like, I'm not going to touch grinding until they sauce me some more, because I think just gathering Caphras is going to be way better overall.
I think it's actually a pretty good. So the way I see it, at least for me, like I'm not really like one to like go mid max and like I'm gonna grind here because I get the most money here and stuff like that. I tend to do things just because like it's what I like. I enjoy the spot. I'm gonna be here, and I think for a lot of players that are like that, it's actually really cool because now they have like some kind of progression system with their life skilling. So, and then it can also increase the profit they make per hour, right? So it's like now it's like if somebody truly does enjoy life skilling over grinding, they don't necessarily have to spend hours on end at Augment History or things of that nature to make similar money doing life skilling, right? And so it's like I think it's really cool to just add that they're adding that extra variety in terms of whatever you want to do, you can do to make the income to increase your gear.
Yeah, I think the variety is awesome, personally. Before is like you either grind or you make a ton of money, or you don't do anything and you're just like woo, because
Right.
and now you can just go gather and like in that, like as basic as that is, like you can literally just decide to go chop trees, and that'll be good enough. If you just don't want to do an hour grinding, but you feel like kicking back, watching some Netflix, and chopping a log or two, you know that works out, and it
That
will
sounds
yield you
really dirty.
Sit back, watch Netflix, and chop a.
just chopping a log or seven, you know.
Oh my god.
No, it's great. And then it's like it's kind of a meme, but I realize a lot of people do this. Is like if you have kids or something, and they want to try to play the game, you can literally teach them how to just life skill or chop logs or whatever, and just have them do that for you. And now you actually make a lot of
Ah, yes, very nice.
the perks of having kids, I guess.
Yeah, I'm just here chopping my log. I don't have kids.
Oh my god.
In your best opinion, what are the comparisons in terms of green, blue, and like current Manos gear in like full TED? Is the like I haven't delved too deep into it. I don't. It sounds like the group of people we have in here hasn't done too much experience either. In your
Oh,
best
come on, dude.
experience, Mr. Strad, is the comparison night and day? Like if I'm a life skiller and want to get hardcore into this, is the difference from going from Logia to Manos drastic?
I mean, if you're a life skiller and that's all you do, yeah, it's gonna be huge. You're gonna be pushing brackets that are physically not possible, and some of these, these certain breakpoints are, crazy. At 900 hunting mastery, for example, you make the skill that's at the pre 900 kind of shit, and you make it really good at 900 mastery just because of the way you get the legendary, special drops that hunting gives you, like feather wolves, for example. And you can't get that. It's really hard to get 900 mastery without blue accessories or blue hunting clothes. Like it's really tough to do that with greens. So like the way I would say it is like if you are a life skiller who's very, very, very new to it, very on and off with it, maybe do it for a day and then don't touch it for a month. You just get green. You get green accessories. Those are going to be your best bet. Bang for your buck wise, it's really, really efficient. Getting blue gathering clothes or any other clothes that you like to do if you like to cook or alchemy, like I think those are pretty fine as well.
Mhm.
And then when you're talking about tools, I think almost always it's worth it to just spend the money and get the Manos tools because Memfrags are pretty cheap and they're not that hard to get enhanced up. So I think it's definitely worth it to get those. But other than that, like, there's certain points where you can decide to go for the blue accessories if you do a little bit more. It just really depends how much you care about it, right? And Manos is like having the PVE gear, having 269 Nuva or whatever. It's expensive, but it's worth it when you get it. If you do a lot of life skilling, that is.
Now, in the current events that we have going on, we have a lot of XP boosts happening. I'm not sure if you guys have any of your crazy XP scrolls saved up. I've recently been doing a lot of Sakurai grinding, and on the XP boosts, I decided to bring out my 500% scrolls plus some other scrolls, Book of Combat, needless to say, the XP has been tremendously noticeable. My question to you: do you guys think the game is getting not necessarily easier, but too easy for the casual player. And with the example of 530 scrolls being invested into the game, it's very, very easy to be able to get to 61. Leveling up is in a completely different condition. Whether that's good or bad to you, what are your guys' thoughts when I ask you that?
Well, I always thought that the way that they kind of did experience grinders, they kind of did experience grinders in a dirty way. You know, like I don't like the fact that they made it so easy to gain certain levels. Like back when I started playing, it was really rare to see anybody that was 62. I don't think there was even a single 62 when I started playing, and now a 62 is the standard. And 63 is not even becoming that rare anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so they definitely have increased the amount of level, like the ease of getting levels in the game. But I feel like that was done by intention. And the reason I think that is because the way that they implemented Kaposhi accessories, back when they implemented Kaposhia, they added in the fact that there was, the belt at level 63, the earring at 62, the ring at 61, and then the necklace at 64. And back then, the highest level in the game was like 61 when they added those. And so they definitely future proofed it. And that sort of told the community, like, hey, we're offering this very basic gear that's, not exactly super incredible, because I think that their thought is 64 is going to be kind of like hitting 61 back in the day. And so if you are a player that's just starting the game, you can get to 64 and have 4 pieces of gear towards soft cap, and that's a really nice start. And so I kind of see where they're going with that, but I wish they would leave XP alone and let it be something that is prestigious, just like gear. Could you imagine that if you started, let's say you had full pen gear 2.5 years ago, back when I'm talking about starting the game, and all of a sudden what they do is, well, all of that gear that you have now is irrelevant. Kaposhia rings are completely irrelevant. Those are super easy to get. You can get them in, like, you can get full or not Kaposhia, crescent rings. Let's say a pen crescent, it used to take hours and hours and hours to get a pen crescent, just like it took hours and hours and hours to get 63. Well, now you can just get a pen crescent in, literally a weekend. So I think that they should really look at the way that they're changing experience rates and really look at the community that's dedicated to grinding and consider the fact that that is their way of progression, and they devalue it every single time they make it easier. But that being said, I do think that the game should be easy for new players, because that promotes getting more players into the game. Just maybe not in terms of levels. Maybe give them some gear, make them easier to get soft cap and stuff like that. That's all. Yeah.
Kind
Good
of a
choice.
vicious cycle when you look at it. Like when you make a game, like obviously like an MMO that's based around progression, eventually the veteran players get really far ahead, and then if you never make it easier, then the newer players will always feel like it's impossible to catch up. But on the flip side of that, like sometimes you're a new player and you come into the game, you're like one hitting all the mobs, you're leveling up. Like I think if you hit a couple grass beetles, you like hit level 6. Like it's weird, and it is so easy just to like level up, and it almost devalues the sort of gain of it. I guess you're like, oh, I'm level 60, but that really wasn't that hard at all. So I don't
I
know. I mean,
still
in the old
remember
days,
hitting level 62 at Fogan's, and literally the next patch, next week, they cut 62 in half. And my objective was to get every single skill in my skill tree unlocked, but I hit 62 along the way. And I remember like the next week it was kind of like, it's like, well, this was kind of special. It wasn't that special to me, but this just didn't feel right. It was just, sorry, I just wanted to add that to what you just said.
what I was gonna say is in the sort of older days, a lot of people won't even know this, but you used to have to go past level 60 to get all your awakening skills maxed. For example, on Ranger, Nature's Tremble was level 61, and Elven Rage was level 62. And level 62 back then was like nuts. I kind of missed that aspect of it, because right now you don't really get much for leveling higher. I mean, I guess it's like a trophy for like people who are like, aha, look at my crazy level, even though it gives me basically nothing. I wouldn't mind seeing something like
Stuff
that. I
like that,
mean,
special tier powers for 64,
yeah.
63.
make it worth something. I don't know. We get to use every single skill in this entire game, so they could even do like a talent tree system where, you know, once you hit 61, you get to choose a talent of your choosing, 62, 63, 64, 65, maybe even.
Stop it. They'll
Nothing too
stop
crazy.
giving this good idea. They'll stop working on succession
But
as they,
like,
as
I
they
don't know.
stop working on class balance.
Grinding also needs to be fun if they're going to do something where you need to hit 63, 64, 65, but it feels like they could do something like that, so that's sort of the point where it really does slow down, and it's very, very rewarding for actually leveling up. And you get these extra things, you know. So level 60, you get all of your skills, and then you get like an extra type of system. I don't know, but it's yeah, it's weird though, because like no matter what you do, like you're still going to be fighting over that aspect of, is the game too easy? And new players think, well, this is dumb. I don't feel like there's ever any challenge, or, you know, the point if it's difficult, then they might feel that it's, you know, not worth trying to catch up to the veteran player base.
I actually have a question that I'd like to kind of pick your guys' brains on in relation to that. So me and I was in just my guild Discord talking, and we brought up the concept of that, you know, since we're talking about making the game easier, you know, the game, they're kind of just tossing gear out. It's a lot easier to get gear nowadays. Levels are a lot easier and stuff like that. And the main draw when I first started playing this game was that, you know, I wasn't going to be reset by some expansion. So if any work I put in, especially if I went really hard in it, it wasn't all just going to go away in 5 months or whatever, which I really liked that. But now I kind of am seeing a different kind of lens from it, in terms of like, now they've kind of pigeonholed themselves into content development. Because if they want to release, you know, things like, I guess, Ash Forest, which is, you know, 300 AP, 400 DP, you know, if they push people's gear up too high, does that devalue all the hard work that like Choice put in to get 305 if they just make 305 super easy?
And Portales could do that.
Yeah, see, exactly. And that's what I'm saying. Like, they're kind of just throwing a lot of AP out for people just to get for free. Does that, you know, devalue the amount of time that people put into it? And also, you know, but it doesn't even make the new player experience better, because for a lot of people, you get the soft cap and you're just like, all right, now I get the, holy shit, my next upgrade, 7 bill. Oh my God. And it's kind of like, it's hard. It's kind of hard to be like, all right, I'm going to do this again. You know, I'm going to get all new accessories and do it again. So is it even good for new players to have all this gear and all this AP thrown at them? And it devalues the grinding that people have done up until now. Like, they've kind of put themselves in a hole, and I'm just kind of curious what you guys think about that.
I don't know if I feel that way necessarily, just for the sole fact that, like, I think if anything, it's kind of complimenting the new spots that they've added to the game, if anything, because there's more and more people being able to grind Histria, being able to grind Akhman. They just came out with Stars and Sakraya. More people are being able to, that were once at Akhman, Histria, now being able to move over to Stars and Sakraya. It's almost like, I don't know, this game is kind of like an experience in like tiers and different tiers of gameplays and different caliber of grind spots. And if anything, like, maybe they're seeing the pace at which people are going at. Maybe this is part of their plan. Maybe it's not. Maybe they thought we'd be further than we'd be currently right now. But I'm not a veteran, but it doesn't bother me necessarily hearing that people who are 250 now are having an easier time getting to 261, because when I first hit 261, it felt like a new like a new tier of the game opened up for me, and for people to have access to it a little bit faster doesn't necessarily bother me, because I still know that even getting there is it's quite a lot of work.
I think it's a little give and take, because I mean, if you look at it this way, like, you know, a lot of us have put in a lot of time to get into a certain tier of our gear, right? And then once the developers make it easier to get to that gear, by that time, unless they do it literally overnight to all of a sudden everybody's there, normally by that time we're already putting the time into we've already gotten to the next tier, where now those players that have gotten to the first tier real easy, they have to put a similar time, maybe not as much time as we've been putting in, but a similar time and hard work to get to kind of where we are. But by the time that they normally get to where we are, we're already ahead on another tier. Obviously, it kind of like the progression in this game kind of definitely slows out as we get higher and higher, and so it gives players a time to catch up. And I feel like PA is just kind of kind of trying to move it along a little bit more to like, hey, just kind of help you to get a little bit more caught up. But I feel like it's a give and take, because it definitely does devalue to an extent if it's like we can't get past a certain, if we start to hit, I guess, a plateau, it devalues the work we put in, because all of a sudden these guys catch up to where we are and we haven't gotten further. But then for those that were able to surpass the plateau, so to speak, and able to keep going, it's like by the time these players are getting to where they where a lot of the veterans are already at a higher point normally, you know. So I think it's like kind of a give and take. I think it does devalue a little bit, but at the same time, normally, as long as the veterans continue to put in the hard work or the time and the luck of the RNG and whatnot to get higher and higher, it's still gonna have some kind of a gap. And it's like Fake said, to where
What direction did you just turn? I heard your turn signal.
sorry, I'm so sorry.
What direction did you just turn? No, I don't care at all.
Left, go left.
Hell yeah. Hell
But it's
yeah,
kind of like Fake
left.
said, where it's like when we're playing when we were grinding Ackman and players were probably still at Pirate or something, and then we went to History, and then players were barely reaching Ackman, and then they opened up Stars Inn, they opened up Secure Ruins, and so a lot of players that have like pretty high gear are already going over there, while other players are finally able, like with the Batali and all that, are able to reach a point to where they can grind History, and by the time, hopefully by the time Ash Forest gets out, the players that were normally just spending all their time at Securia and things like that have enough gear to potentially grind Ash Forest or Kama Sylvia Part 3 or Ordalita whenever that comes out. And it's just kind of like, I feel like it's helping players reach a certain point that's becoming a standard, while the people that are at that standard are starting to get even higher. That way, it's kind of like not allowing the gap to get too far between the average players versus the players that are putting a lot more time into it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and so from being in the perspective of being like quite far ahead, or
Quite.
farther than the average player or whatever, I don't know.
Here.
Anyway,
Farther
from
than
that
the average
perspective,
player, more like, anyways.
yeah, okay. Anyway, so Stratified, to use the example, like, okay, I'm 305 AP, right? So I'm seeing a lot of people that are coming up that are now 305 because it can be obtained easier. Well, that being said, I don't necessarily mind the way that they've currently done their upgrades. We have seen them implement Tungrad rings. We've seen them, implement Tungrad accessories. The Tungrad belt came out. It was just 1 AP upgrades, very marginal upgrades. And none of that really devalued any of your previous stuff. And the way that they make these next gains harder as well, like, Blackstar comes out and it's unequivocally the best main hand in the entire game. Barring C20, whatever, even whatever. Anyway, it's the best main hand in the game.
Yep.
I still don't think that really devalues the current main hands that are at Penn, because they're still holding their value really well. It's not like a item comes out and it just tanks that value of that item, right? You can still get that upgrade. Let's say you have full Penn everything. If you can then work towards that next best upgrade and then sell your old thing, and now you're just flush with cash. You don't lose that value in that gear ever, because they don't devalue it hard enough. If they came out with Blackstar and all of a sudden Blackstar was just the new best in slot, it had the same enhancement rates as everything else, but maybe it costed a few more memory fragments, whatever, then often Zarkas, all that would be pretty much obsolete. And so I don't mind the way that they're progressing, and I think that it is a necessary thing in an MMO to continue to, push boundaries of gear. And it's just an inevitability in MMOs. They're always going to be the players that are starting to reach the top, and they're just going to get bored if there's nowhere else to push. And it's great to have that, idea in your mind. That's my finish line. Like, I can get there and then I can just enjoy the game. I don't need to grind anymore. Believe it or not, without a goal in this game, MMOs get really boring. You're only going to go to Star's End, you're only going to go to Sakraya and whatever open world PvP Node War so many times before it gets boring.
Yep.
You have to be pushing towards something. You have to have a goal in mind. And so with that particular statement in mind, I think that they should take a book out of RuneScape's page which is making very flashy cosmetics that are hard to obtain. If they're worried about
Oh,
giving
yeah,
players
dude.
something to
Fuck
achieve,
yeah.
give them something that is cosmetic to obtain, and people will spend thousands of hours pushing that.
Well, like, look how many people went through the bullshit of that. I wasn't a fan of mysteries this summer, but look how many people were willing to go through that just for like different colored titles. Like, I think this year you just got one, the pink one, the soul title, right?
Yep.
And like, people went through ridiculous lengths for that just to have that limited edition. Like, look at the stormtrooper and how ridiculously hard that is to obtain in a siege. I know there's other things that they could do in this game to give people just a flashy little thing that's not just a title that people would spend thousands, hundreds and thousands of hours towards. You know,
Dude, just
hitting.
like giving.
Sorry, I'm just gonna finish
Go ahead.
with just hitting level. You know, we've got some people hitting level 65 for the first time. You know, people who hit level 64 for the first time. What about the first like 100 to 1,000 people in the game hitting, you know, something for the very first time, the first ones? You know, some leader of the pack titles or whatever, or auras or little things that just don't affect, you know, performance at all whatsoever. Simply cosmetic. I love stuff like that.
I don't like
Shiny
those
tier
limited
9's
type
fun.
items. Yeah, yeah, shiny tier 9s would be great. But like what you're saying, Fake, about like first to do whatever, those are okay for like certain events, but actually really kind of unhealthy, to be honest with you. Like the
Sure.
amount of people that
Yeah.
like go out there and just spend so many thousands of hours, and then it's also like also job dependent and player specific. Like I think that
Yeah.
the goals should completely be obtainable by anybody, but they should be distant enough where they're rare. And it can be as, let's be honest, if you're going to spend, you know, a couple, maybe 2,000-3,000 hours working towards something,
Mhm.
maybe it's not that ridiculous. Like give a special costume, give a special something.
Well, you don't
Like
like the free Karlstein outfit?
I mean, yeah, the Carlson outfit, great. Like whatever, like nobody really cares about that. Obviously, it's not a
You
prestigious
can't
thing.
even melt that down, can you?
You can actually, yeah.
Oh, you
I just made
can.
a box. I'm gonna melt it down for
Wait, what?
crons.
Dude,
That's
I have
how prestigious it is.
120 of these things.
Yeah, that's free crons right there.
All right. I'm gonna look into that later. Sorry,
But
go
yeah,
on.
just make a costume that's cool, that has like particle effects, that has some kind of, you know, wow factor when you see that person. It's like, you know, the guy that completed Mysteries of Summer's first, like, you know, that's really the only thing that we have where it's like you see this guy riding around on a black Pegasus and it's like, wow,
Mhm.
that guy did something that was hard. And we need that in an MMO. And that is a way to keep
That's
endgame
always
players
obtainable as
busy.
well.
Yeah, always obtainable, right. It's a way to keep endgame players busy
Yeah.
while not devaluing gear in any way. It's not devaluing progression.
Bro,
Like
even
it's like
listening
doing nothing other
to
than just
Blondebear's
making it
story when
cool.
he was getting into arcade, she like there was just things where you could go around and do world bosses and you could capture them, and he would go around and capture them as Pokemon literally just cuz, and it did not affect his gameplay or at all whatsoever. But he would I was talking about times of how he'd just go up to random players and just show off his really cool in-game pets and stuff like that to some people just to like whatever. And BDO's got a lot of cool things that could really add to the powerful feel that people want, you know, that some gear grinders may want to feel, or, you know, some really nice ambient effects that emphasize on just like, you know, their life skilling or whatever. There's a lot of things I feel like that could really cater to a lot of people's cosmetic needs and desires for
One
their
thing that
goals.
I always get a little bit worried about, and I think that's a great idea choice. Actually, I think it's an awesome idea. But like, I always feel like Altar of Blood is a great example. Like after the event, obviously, it's pretty fun to do, but it's not necessarily worth people's time. I'm afraid that, you know, if they add those cosmetic things and stuff like that, you know, that are obviously very cool and interesting, whatever it may be, that for a lot of people it's not going to matter as much to them. It's not worth their time because, you know, in this game, you know, gear is king. You know, having the most gear, it's like a kind of a status symbol. Having a ton of gear, having a lot of AP, and a lot of people don't.
No, it's not. I'll
I-
blow
I'm
up
just,
my
I'm,
Tet Ogre right now. One stack. Say
I'm just,
when.
I'm just,
Kappa.
I'm just kind of, I was just kind of thinking, like, what is your perspective on that? Like, because my thought when I first brought that question up is like, in terms of grinding spots, if they keep adding like Ordolito and all these new grinding spots, like, how are they going to balance them out? Like if they're going to add a new necklace like they are for Ash Forest, are they going to make them just marginally better money makers? That was kind of what I was thinking. But if people don't think it's worth their time, even if it is cool, they may not do it. And in a game like this, where PvP is the end game, realistically it is for most people. I don't know how far cosmetics really can pull it. Do you see what I'm saying? I don't know, I'm kind of doing a bad job explaining this, but
No, I totally
I
get
don't
what
know,
you,
bro.
I get what you're saying.
I think people go nuts for this stuff. Like
The thing
that's
is,
like all.
I mean,
That's all the game is
look at
about. Like people go for like tier 9 horses. They're not really much better than a tier 8. You're not using them in PvP except for like the Doom horse, but people will go for the other two all the time. And then you have like people going for like the archaeologist map. I mean, people are willing to grind sulfur mines for that sulfur mines.
yeah, that's true.
yeah, you can't say that about
Yeah,
Sulfur Mine anymore though.
Wow.
Well, okay, it's
There
got
are a
mana
lot
still,
of
so it's
endgame
super
players.
So
powerful.
as soon as
They're
we were talking
reaching
about
that
this, someone
point.
just whispered me a clip of what's his Wall of Kai getting Manos processing clothes from Sulfur.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Sulfur officially OP.
I'll
Go grind
I'll link
everybody.
it to you guys after this.
But yeah, exactly. People like Wallachai. So Wallachai, very good berserker. He is out there grinding an archaeologist map because it's a cool thing to have. People want to link it in their chats. It's super marginally useful, but it's not. It's marginally
It's
useful,
not
right?
game
It's not like
breaking.
it's not game breaking. Exactly. Like the amount of time that you're going to spend getting that map, you could probably just walk to wherever you're trying to go a billion times in the map. It's not going to save you anything.
that's true.
So true.
That's really true.
So like people are going to go for that stuff. And Anfield brought up T9 horses. That is a primo example. People are, spending billions of silver to get flappy horses that are going to help them get from Grana to Sandgrain in like a minute extra
You shut the
time.
fuck up about my flappy horse.
Exactly. Like I'm saying, like the cosmetics
dude.
are there because people care about
Mhm.
difficult stuff. And I think the reason that gear is king in this game is because it's the only difficult thing to achieve in this game right now.
Yeah,
Right?
that's
And
true.
so if they had
That's a
more stuff that's
really good
difficult to
point.
achieve,
It's a really good point.
then people are going to go out there and get it.
And that's the thing too.
Shiny horses.
When Dream Horses came out, it was kind of a mesmerizing thing to people who were big fan of the game and seeing it for the first time too. I mean, for myself, it was kind of like just an awing experience to run into when it first came out, just knowing how hard it was to get. And then they made
When
it
they
even
first
fucking
released
harder.
Kama, though, when they first released Kama, and then like you were just walking around like it was new, and then you saw someone that actually had a Pegasus, you were like, "Oh my god, what a baller!" Like
I want that.
it was the shit.
Yeah.
Okay, now picture this, right? Nightmare Unicorn, rare chance on top of the rare
Dude,
chance
I'm
of
with you.
succeeding.
I'm
Yeah,
with you.
could you
Blue
imagine if there
Flame
was
Doom.
it like almost like
We-
shiny Pokemon, right? Like you
Yeah,
had a
we
small
shiny
chance
out
to
here, man.
proc, just like small chance to proc a black Pegasus, really small chance to proc like a blue Flame Doom horse.
I mean,
Yeah, it's
people
sick.
bid like what 40 billion for the luxury tier 9 Nightmare Pegasus. Like, come on.
The RNG within the RNG. I mean, that could totally be a thing, man. And again, that's one of those things that just is not game breaking. I mean,
So is that gonna be the end game?
that could be. Sorry, pay to win horse. That the horse market's probably the most successful pay to win shit in the game.
Is that the end game? Like the true end game is starting to add cosmetics after a certain point. Everyone gets a lot of gear, and then they just start adding
No, the
costumes.
true end
and-
game is being a whale and selling those cosmetics to people who need those cosmetics because you just don't have the time anymore to go for these pen accessories. You gotta sell all these cosmetics to people who want the cosmetics. Duh.
Ah, very nice.
Really quick to go back onto the point where he was saying he was asking about like a lot of people like they want to spend their time doing things that would actually help them towards the end game, right? Like in terms of versus going for things that would be cosmetic. It'd be very easy to make it for example like auras, like you had mentioned earlier. I've been talking about this a lot too. It's like if you have auras in the game, but if you were to make it like you were saying, have it something that you do in game, put hours into doing to get the auras, it would be easy to do something like kill like 10,000 of X kind of mobs to get this type of aura or this type of color for the aura, and then it would be very easy to implement it and put it, but make those mobs that people
Imagine if it
normally
was
grind.
Karanda's or like Zarka or Kudum or Nuver's
Yeah,
aura, and you had to use their aura to get it, and it was like
that
1,000.
yeah. So like like it's very easy for them to create some kind of cosmetic, but then with the goal in game, make it something that's still relevant instead of like having like, oh, go kill Sausage where no one's gonna kill
Yeah.
Sausage anymore. You know, it's like make
Yeah.
it something relevant, like you said, like farm bosses or
Yeah.
grind Ackman Hystria for them, grind Nagas, grind Polys, doing things like that. You could still keep the relevancy of still grinding or still life skilling certain areas that normally people would, but still giving them, but just making it to where the time that you would take is so much longer than just somebody grinding there just for a weekend or two, you know?
Are you going right? Tell me
Yeah.
you're going right.
No, I have to go left.
Damn it.
So,
It's
like,
racing.
in addition to what you were saying there, Blue, I don't know if that's kind of the best idea in terms of making going for that cosmetic a super relevant thing to do. Like, there should be some kind of benefit to go for it in a way. But that being said, like, we've already seen how they handle having a rare item in a common spot. It's just a ridiculously high RNG chance to get a compass piece, right? And so I don't think that it's going to have to be something that you work towards that will
Oh,
take you the same amount of time as another player as well. Like that's
I
important.
don't
It's
mean a rare
important too.
drop. I don't mean a rare drop. So you know how we have when you go kill skeletons, right? Which is a hex sanctuary. You know how now it's like if you kill X amount of them, you'll get a witch hearing guaranteed. Do something like that to where it's like you have a goal like kill like 10,000 or so, like have it so extremely high to where it's like you're gonna want to be there for a while, and have that kind of as a way to get the um to unlock that aura, if that makes sense,
I like the
versus
idea of
being there for a rare
enchanting.
trap.
Yeah, we have like enhancing in the game where you upgrade your gear from Pride, Duo, Tet, etc. I like the idea of like being able to do like an extra life skill that's like where you can drop certain things or craft certain things to let you enhance stats onto gear, like enhance I don't know, a Zarka with an extra 10% ignore resistance or more accuracy or something. And then when you do that, that gives you the kind of aura that you're talking about.
Okay, so kind of like the WoW enhancing thing.
Yeah, a little bit like that. And
That'd be cool.
when you do
Yeah.
it, it gives you like that aura that you're describing, so you can visually see that piece of gear has been enhanced with X stat or whatever.
Oh, that'd be actually pretty cool because then you can also like, I mean, if they wanted to, they can even start selling the ores in the market and make it some kind of like profitable life skill.
Yeah.
Now, talking about the compass for a second as well, it's so much easier to get now that they've added it to the Bolton. Choice, how many compasses do you already have?
I have 3.
What the fuck? So, do you think this is a feature that was needed? Potentially? You have 3. I know some people who have been there for years that don't have one, that may be potentially upset. I myself never grind history. I'm always at Ackman. Now there's more of a reason to go, because the only reason I wanted to go to history was for the Elton piece, but now it's Eltons and Boltons. Any thoughts from yourself on that change?
I don't mind it.
Yeah, I don't mind it
bias.
either. Yeah, I mean, I don't even think that it devalues how difficult it is to get a compass at all, because just it was so ridiculous to get in the first place and very RNG gated. So I'm okay with the fact that it's a lot easier to get. It's not even a lot easier to get. Like if you actually do the math of how many Boltons that you're gonna kill in a loop compared to your Eldons, it's not even twice as easy to get. So I think that it was a appropriate change. And at the end of the day, a compass is a convenience-based item that helps other players and not just yourself. And so I don't mind that more players are going to be having it in the game. Like, it's a benefit for me too, right?
I dropped one yesterday. That's why I said that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I completed my compass.
You
yesterday.
finally.
Congrats,
nice, dude.
Oh, congrats.
Thanks.
That's awesome.
Only took a year and a half, having like half of
Oh,
that.
that's what you were talking about.
That's
Only
above.
took you a year and a half. Okay, I was listening to you talk about that earlier when I was in your stream. Okay, well, the last question that I have for you guys before I let you guys all go is, do you see a difference in the amount earned between life skilling and grinding now and over the period of time? Do you think that gathering with Manos being released could become a superior way of making silver in the game in comparison to grinding it as a whole?
I think, like I said, it really just depends on what you like to do. I think Manos gives you the opportunity to kind of do life scaling over grinding if you want to pursue that. I think with the prices eventually evening out, I like when Manos or Mastery first came out, there was some insane margins on certain things, and you could if you were on top of it, you were prepared for it, and you were ready, you could easily make 600 mil an hour at a utensil if you were set up correctly. It was nuts. But now that the prices are going to kind of steady out and more people are going to be doing it and everything, I think it's really just going to come down to, for consistent money, Cafras. And if that's going to be comparable to grinding, it's going to be based off your AP. Someone like at 278 or 266 Kudum on a ninja like myself, like I said earlier, loot scroll is going to be better than gathering, but as soon as you're out, no reason to really do it. But other than that, if you're at like 300 AP, grinding is basically always going to be better, from my experience, unless there's something that changes in the future.
Your experience? Have you been at 300 AP?
No, like just from gathering.
So just joking.
Come on, fake dude, what's going on? Oh yeah, but at like you kill stuff so fast, you can't chop logs that fast. You know what I'm saying? You only run so fast. Guys only got little legs. You can move so fast. So yeah.
Don't anybody take over now?
Yeah. My input on that whole thing is, I think that there is potential for life skilling to be just as competitive as grinding, but you are definitely spending quite a few billion silver in order to achieve that. And if what Stratified said is the case and PvP is endgame, that's a big detour that you're taking. Like, you have to really spend a lot of money and be making that money back in a relevant way, that like more so than what grinding would have attained for you, if you know what I mean. Like, grinding has to be worse than life skilling in a pretty big way to make it reasonable to spend billions on life skilling stuff that that's not your end game goal. And so I really see Manos as a way to make the life skillers that seriously enjoy life skilling have their fun and go out there, have things to obtain, go out there and like actually have a sense of progression. But I don't necessarily see it as a way that's going to take over grinding. And they did it in such a way where you kind of want to do all your life skilling on one character, which means that you are very much energy locked on that character. Before, you used to grab a magic tool and a skilled 5 player and just go anywhere, and you could gather for hours and hours and hours without having to buy any energy. And so I see it as more of a supplement to grinding, where you go out there, you drain your energy, and then you go grind for the rest of the day, or maybe that's all you do for the day. So I don't think it's overpowered in any way, and I think that it's kind of pretty balanced right now. I'm pretty happy with it overall.
I think that's a great answer. I feel pretty much the same way. I think you couldn't. I couldn't have worded that better. I can't word right now. God damn.
Just as I don't know if many people actually know this. I'm sure most people do, but you can buy the high quality wine and turn it into people to replenish your energy. 3 energy per wine, 200k. So for 100 wine, 30 mil, it's 300 energy, or 200 mil, or 20 mil. Sorry, words are hard. Fake. Thanks a lot, dude. Thanks for giving it to me, man.
Stupid.
Yeah.
That definitely cuts into your profit an hour, though.
Oh yeah, of course it does. Yeah, it does. But when you're ripping 35 Cafras an hour, it might be worth it, considering, and that's at not even that high of mastery. It can
give me those Cafras.
It can help out a bit.
Give me them, boy.
It can help out a bit. Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, that pretty much wraps up everything that I had prepared for today. And I do want to say thank you to you guys for being here. During the course of this conversation, was there anything that you wanted to by chance bring up and didn't get an appropriate chance to bring it up? If you did have any of those feelings, speak now or forever hold what you were about to say earlier.
We good.
All right, then. Guys, thank you very much for coming out. Thanks very much for your time. Blue, Strat, appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day being here. Blue, especially, he's on the road right now, coming back from TwitchCon. Freaking jealous, man. And if you guys want to take a look at anybody here, everyone is a content creator, streamer as well. Stratus also does the YouTube, so if you guys want to check out any of these guys, please take a look at our friends here. Their links will be down in the description down below as well. And if you guys have any upcoming podcast topics to suggest, if you guys think that there's a topic that may be worthwhile covering, feel free to suggest it by joining the Discord and suggesting your topics in our topics room. But as far as that goes, thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you guys next week.
See you.